welcome back to Journey with Akira. I'm your host, Akira. In today's episode, the American dream versus the soul's truth, we explore a pivotal chapter of discernment when outer success no longer satisfied the deeper call of the soul. I take you into the world of high-profile finance and international travel. I moved through these powerful circles with ease, yet I began to sense a disconnection that wealth could not resolve. This is not about rejecting the material world, but about learning to listen when the soul's guidance grows louder than external success. It's a story of sovereignty and the courage to choose alignment over illusion. Joining me is my dear friend Melody. Let's begin.
During all of your wonderful adventures in Australia, what happened? Did you manage to get to California?
So when I arrived in San Francisco, it was kind of dramatic. We were driving on the freeway and we saw last San Francisco exit. And we said, well, we better get off. So we took the exit. And of course, that exit is in the worst part of downtown San Francisco. And we wanted to check into the youth hostel there. And as we were checking in, a shooting took place from a window inside of the youth hostel. So we didn't end up checking in. Later, I took a babysitting job in Beverly Hills. Despite the glamorous surroundings, I felt like a princess locked away in a castle. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pursue my dream of going to school and seizing new opportunities. So I found my way back to San Francisco after 2 weeks. And through a chance encounter, I discovered a college on the peninsula. During the day, I worked as a babysitter, and at night, I took evening classes at the college. Every penny I earned from babysitting went toward paying my college and saving for tuition. I remember I couldn't even afford an ice cream. I simply didn't have the extra money, but it didn't really faze me. I was so glad to be there, living my dream.
What was your spiritual life and perspective like during your time living in San Francisco, going to school and babysitting? Was there an event that particularly influenced you?
Yes. Just as I was about to graduate with a degree in finance from Santa Clara University, my brother passed away. His death inspired me to deeply explore my spirituality and everything related to the spirit world, because he was communicating to me from above, from the unseen, and I knew he was still alive. I knew his body wasn't here, but he was still alive. So I was certain that afterlife exists, and I wanted to learn about it. One of my first books I was reading was Shakti Gavain's Living in the Light. She has so many beautiful meditations and visualizations for every part of your life, and that was really helpful to me. After I graduated, I needed to look for my first job. And one of the exercises she had in her book was about envisioning yourself, your ideal job. And I closed my eyes and I saw myself at a party. Somehow I was working there, bringing light to others. And when I saw this vision, I fully didn't understand how is this related to job. This vision actually later manifested in my future work because I was marketing and promoting services for an offshore administrator. So I traveled to hedge fund business conferences, events, and I was promoting the business. It was very interesting. My curiosity in the unseen and training with your visualizations, asking for your spirit to guide you, asking for your higher self to show you the steps or stop you. And that's when I started practicing that.
That is so inspiring. I love that you saw a vision and you just went for it and opportunities came up and you got your dream job. Can you tell us about your job in finance, your internship? Is there any story that happened?
Yes. As I was graduating, we had to have an internship, and I was an intern working for a hedge fund that was trading on the Pacific Stock Exchange in San Francisco. It was still the old school way of trading. The trading floor was a wild experience. All the traders were screaming and yelling to place trades in the stock market. It was really a wild experience.
Like those movies about Wall Street.
It was just like that. Yes.
You have once mentioned to me about Monte Carlo.
When I graduated, I was looking for a position to work somewhere, and I was referred to a company in Dublin, in Ireland, that I could represent them and work for them in the United States. There was a conference in Monte Carlo for the hedge funds, and they were there. And I was at that time with my parents on vacation in Mallorca, which is really close by. And they said, well, why don't you come for an interview? So I flew from Mallorca to landed in Nice, and somebody recommended me, why don't you, instead of a taxi, which takes 40 minutes, take a helicopter? It takes 5 minutes. It's about the same amount of money. That's excellent idea. I want to fly on a helicopter. So I flew on a helicopter to Monte Carlo and arrived at the conference for the interview. I did get the job. I think they were thinking, well, she knows how to roll. This job took me around the US and the world. I traveled extensively for business, attending hedge fund conferences in high-end locations worldwide. It would be Palm Beach, Miami, LA, and San Francisco. And we were staying in luxurious hotels and dining at fine restaurants. I even found myself partying on yachts with hedge fund managers. And when I was in Miami on my time off, I went to a club and there was a Saudi Arabian prince partying with the whole crew of these beautiful women. Actually, they were staying in the same hotel I was accommodated, and I met them at the elevator going to my room, and he was there with a Czech girlfriend of his he was dating. The prince was only 18. He was really young, and we started talking and really hit it off. I told the girl, I said, well, I'm going shopping tomorrow. There's my favorite clothing store. Do you want to join me? She told the prince, and the prince said, yeah, we'll all go with you. So we ended up going to the clothing store, and we had an alloy of motorcycles as bodyguards following us to the clothing store. And then we ended up entertaining ourselves in the clubs, and they would have 20 other girls there who would be drinking and dancing, and I would just have fun. I wouldn't put any attention to how this is special in any way. I just was happy, enjoying the music and their company. Funny thing is that when I was coming back to Miami for the conferences, I would always see this prince there. So I would end up partying with them. And then one day they would invite us on his yacht. It was really fun to experience this lifestyle. And they said, well, if you want, we can go to Bahamas tomorrow. You can just stay on a yacht for a few days. We'll come right back. I said, no, I have to work.
So you partied a lot in that period in your life.
Yes. Well, I was lucky because I had a good paying job. I was working out of my home office. I had a lot of time. The job allowed me to travel to many different places. I got to explore these vibrant places in the world, Sydney, San Francisco, Miami, and Ibiza. So the dancing became my sanctuary, a way to release stress and heartache from my brother's death. When I was dancing, I felt like everything, all the stress was falling off me. When I danced in clubs with my friends, they would often remark that they saw me shining like a bright sun. And I didn't know at that time what they were talking about. What? I was dancing, you saw a sun shining? And they thanked me for bringing light, warmth, and joy to the dance floor. And I felt the weight of my pain lift as I lost myself in the music, dancing for hours on end. I would keep dancing nonstop. It was a deeply healing experience. allowing me to let go and find peace through movement.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you dance mostly in clubs? And were you drinking with your friends?
No, I was sober. That's a great question. I was fully sober. I didn't drink any alcohol, no drugs, and it was purely spiritual experience for me. That's why I think I lasted for hours just dancing. I was drinking water. I had mostly my eyes closed, and I would just keep on dancing and smiling.
You learn what works for me, and dancing sounds like a very healing experience for you.
And it was really interesting because my friends later on, they would take all kinds of drugs, cocaine and ecstasy, and they were drinking alcohol. And then as we were aging, they would keep coming to me like, how do you do it? You're sober and you're looking like you're having the most fun. And I am now with all these hangovers, my body is not functioning as well anymore. How do you do it? I want to stop. And they were starting to get addicted. So it was a challenging situation for me because I wish I could help them. I didn't have the tools at that time to inspire them to find their own inner self and guidance and meditation.
Well, that must be challenging to see that you and your friends are on a different experience. During all your time of dancing and partying, did you end up somewhere special? Is there a memorable experience that you want to share?
Yes, I remember this one night in Ibiza. I found myself dancing in one of the clubs, as I often did, for hours on end. I completely was immersed in the music. I made my way to the balcony in the VIP section, and I was overlooking the main dance floor filled with people. What I used to do, I would most of the times go to the clubs alone and I danced alone. I would just walk in, dance, and walk out. I barely talked to anybody. I didn't partake in any of the drugs and alcohol. And I cherished the freedom and self expression that dancing allowed. And that one night, when I was dancing all night, it was a really special night with great music. I was dancing on the balcony, smiling and feeling truly happy as I watched the crowd below. And then when the club finally closed and the night turned into morning with the sun beginning to rise, it was already a daytime. I stepped outside, and a small group of about 8 local Spanish people encircled me with warm smiles, and they said, "We have a gift for you. Thank you so much for shining your light. We would like to call you a sunshine." They said that they had noticed me dancing and wanted to express gratitude, and they handed me an handmade amulet. It was a necklace, beautifully crafted and rich with symbolic meaning. I was stunned and deeply grateful because I haven't even realized that I was radiating light and bringing joy to others. So it was a beautiful and unforgettable moment. And after they gave me the amulet, they quietly left.
That's a wonderful story about Ibiza. Besides meeting that friends that take you shopping, did you meet any other famous people during this time?
Yes, there were throughout my life during that time period, I just somehow found myself drawing in fascinating encounters with high profile individuals, including movie stars, President Václav Klaus of the Czech Republic, famous sports players, millionaires, international DJs. Despite these amazing experiences, I remained grounded and humble. I choose not to assign any undue insignificance to these moments, recognize that the true value lies beyond the superficial appeal and fame and glamour. I can name a few examples. When I was in Prague visiting my family, I ended up being invited to a private dinner with the president of the Czech Republic and the prime minister. It was a full lovely gathering of maybe 7 of us with my friends. I got to meet him, feel his energy, and recognize that he's just a human. And then I ended up playing tennis with John McEnroe and Peter McNamara. We had a tournament at one of the conferences in Europe, in Dublin, and they were invited as the stars tennis players to entertain our hedge fund managers. That was really fun. And then in Prague, I was partying with the Czech hockey team and Jaromir Jagr, and also a number of businessmen and millionaire in the Czech Republic and the United States, because I was involved in the hedge fund business, working with high net worth individuals and major players. And then also because I was dancing in all these vibrant places around the world, I was meeting top European DJs in Ibiza and San Francisco. And it always would end up me just dancing alone in front of the DJ booth, having fun. And then somehow I would be invited to their parties. It was fun to learn about their lifestyle and how they travel and what amazing places they get to stay and share with their friends. I naturally, without even thinking about it, maintain my humility, focusing on the essences of these interactions. I wasn't really putting attention on the outward appearances, and I approached each encounter with respect. I would be curious and I would value the connections and insights that they offer rather than letting the status of the individuals define the experience.
That is so profound. Thank you for sharing. When you approach these famous people, normally I'm assuming they are used to other people worshiping them or admiring them. But when you treat them someone as a normal human, what was their reaction? Did they appreciate it?
I felt that they, on a deep level, definitely appreciated it. We just had natural conversations like with any human instead of somebody appraising them or putting them on a pedestal higher than themselves. It was really refreshing for me to see that these people can be that way.
We're all human.
That's right.
From the story that you told me today, it sounds like you have achieved your career success in luxurious lifestyle. You get to travel the world, meet all kinds of people, and enjoy music and good food. Were you happy?
After 5 years of me being a jet setter, starting to getting a little worn down by all the airports and travel, I started looking for deeper meaning. I would wake up one day and I would ask myself, who are my true friends? At that time, I was working for two companies at the same time. I had a really good salary. And despite my career success and privileges that came with it, I felt deeply unfulfilled. I felt disconnected both from nature and myself, realizing that my work primarily enriched the already wealthy without providing me true personal contentment. And I was asking them, what am I really doing here? I'm helping rich people getting richer. And so, as I reflected on whether living in California fulfilled my dreams I had as a child, I realized that while I pursued activities like helicopter skiing, rollerblading, mountain biking, and tennis, I enjoyed a well paying job in finance. These accomplishments didn't bring the happiness I had anticipated. Although I had achieved the American dream, I was left with a profound sense of dissatisfaction.
That is so meaningful and reflective of your personal story. What advice would you give to someone feeling stuck in a situation like you did? And is there anything you want to add on to your transformation and discovering this true meaning of life?
Sometimes the hardest moments can lead us to our most profound growth and transformation. I will share that in our next episode, how that all played out, my transformation, how I found magic in my life, and how everything started following in place once I started asking my higher self, inner guidance, to show me my path. What is my path? What is my inner self, my God self guiding me to do? It's not about my human will. What is God's will? And once I started that, it was just so beautiful story. I can't wait to share that with you. When I first stepped into the world of finance, I was doing what most of us do. I was following a career path, navigating a complex system, and yes, I was looking at a paycheck. I was a Czech immigrant building a life in America. The facts of my life were very real. But even as I focused on the spreadsheets and the logistics, a different story was beginning to write itself through me. I remember sitting in high-stakes boardrooms, surrounded by the high-pressure energy of the US finance world. And yet, I would find myself almost instinctively guiding the conversation toward yoga, meditation, and the inner state of the soul. I would look around the room and ask myself, why am I here? Am I here to heal finance? I realized my spiritual life wasn't an escape from the world. It was my manual for living inside it. I wasn't just working in finance. I was an emissary of the divine, testing my strength of my own light in one of the most grounded and complex environments imaginable. And the freedom I had traveled across the world to find wasn't about crossing a border. It was a fight for my soul's right to be fully itself, even in the middle of a boardroom. I was building a bridge in real time, learning that if I could anchor divine light in a boardroom, I could help others anchor it anywhere. My time in the system wasn't a detour. It was my training for self-mastery. It taught me that the divine light isn't just for the mountaintops or the woods. It is a power we carry into the very center of our modern lives.
Thank you so much, Akira, for all of your reflections and all your wonderful adventures and stories that shaped you to who you are today. Thank you for sharing all of these. It's interesting to hear your story about as an immigrant or someone that had nothing, doing babysitting, random jobs, to someone successful living luxury lifestyle, to truly show that if there's something that you want, you can really get to it if you put in work. But also you have this profound understanding or reflection of what really means to be happy. And I think that that's gonna make me think a little bit, and I think that's gonna help the audience to reflect on their lives too. So yeah,
Yes.
to hear more stories after your transformation and what happened next.
What began as a question in a boardroom, am I here to heal finance, became the catalyst for my greatest transformation. It taught me that when we accept our life as a divine assignment, every moment becomes an opportunity to anchor the light. In the next episode, I'll share how this inner listening opened the door to a sacred pause, a time of healing and unexpected grace that reshaped everything I thought I knew about strength. I invite you to join our community and find your own manual for mastery at ministryofdivinelight.com. Until next time, walk in harmony, stay connected to your inner light, and may divine light bless the whole world.